A good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to today's earnings call of Dr. Hönle AG regarding the Q3 development. We are delighted to welcome Dr. Markus Arendt, CEO of the company, and Robert Stark, CFO of Dr. Hönle. Both will speak in a moment and guide us through the recent updates. Before we dive in, a quick housekeeping note. The conference is being recorded and all participants are in a listen-only mode. Following the presentation, the floor will be open for all upcoming questions. Please enter your question into the chat box and please make sure that you preface your question by your name and your company name. And now, with any further ado, I hand it over to you, Dr. Arendt and Mr. Stark. The floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the earnings call Q3 2024-25 of the Hönle Group. My name is Markus Arendt. I'm the CEO of Dr. Hönle AG, together with Robert Stark, CFO. We will give you background of the results of Dr. Hönle AG for the first 9 months of the year. Okay. By June 30, 2025, 9 months of the fiscal year 2024-2025, we reached a sales volume of 69.8 million euros, which is about 3% less than the previous fiscal year. The Q3 sales totaled to 22.6 million euros and came in below the expectations. It was a challenging quarter for Dr. Hönle AG for our sales. In particular, affected was our business unit adhesive systems and the market environment for adhesives. We'll dive in later for more detailed background what happened and actually what our measures are. Our profits earning EBITDA came in at 3.6 million euros after 9 months of the fiscal year 2024-2025. Q3 added around 500,000 euros to EBITDA, which was mostly related to the weak adhesive business, which typically contributes a high margin business. So the product mix, together with impact from exchange rates changes in the previous quarter and the tariff situation impacted the EBITDA result. We can report a positive operating cash flow that we generated of 3.7 million euros. The two other business units, other than adhesive systems, which is facing a challenging market environment, our business unit Curing sees a robust business where sales came in at the level that we saw in the previous fiscal year, with a significantly improved EBITDA due to executed cost-cutting measures that we had planned and where we now see the effect of these measures. Our business unit Disinfection advanced 5% year over year and shows a significantly improved EBITDA over the last fiscal year. We are 80% higher than the last fiscal year. As per our announcement on Tuesday, August 5, the outlook for the remainder of the fiscal year 2024-2025 is that sales is expected to come in a range of 92 to 94 million euros, slightly below our lower threshold of the guidance that we had initially given. We confirm, however, that EBITDA will stay in a range of 5 to 6 million euros, which will be in the range of last year's EBITDA profitability result. Some business highlights of Q3 2024-2025. As for many companies In Europe, also Dr. Hönle AG was affected by several geopolitical uncertainties and a general macroeconomic weakness that impact our business. The adhesive sales was low mainly for two reasons. The first being the still slow automotive business, which impacted the call-offs for adhesives in the automotive industry, as well as the realization of new projects, which was deferred in many instances where projects are not yet being executed that have already been started. Secondly, we are impacted by a shift of value change in the Asian consumer electronics industry. As you may know, we sell adhesives in the consumer electronics industry that are being used to assemble consumer electronics devices. And due to the tariff discussions, production was started to be shifted away from China into other Southeast Asian countries, where actually at the moment Hoenle does not have a suitable infrastructure to support the customers, therefore resulting in lower call-offs for the adhesive business for the consumer electronics industry in Asia. Secondly, the investment climate in Europe is still on a moderate level that is impacting the realization of new projects, which impacts mostly both business units, curing and adhesive systems. And thirdly, Q3 saw a unfavorable development of the exchange rate of the US dollar against the euro. And the impact of the tariff discussions that show a result in the profitability which cannot be absorbed overnight, that impact the earnings outside of Europe. We are working on measures to stabilize this situation and to actually offload the currently implied tariff impact to the end customer prices, which was not possible in the previous quarter. Secondly, I would like to report that we continue a focus on cost management. You will see that SG&A has been reduced 8% year over year, and the cost of goods sold ratio was reduced by another 4% year over the year. This allows us to maintain a mostly stable EBITDA result year over year, despite a lower sales volume. Thirdly, another contributor is the discontinuation of unprofitable business, namely the sun simulation business, which we discontinued earlier this fiscal year. On the business growth sides, we see gaining traction with UV disinfection solution for ultra-pure water. We reported about that in the previous calls. We have seen first sales in the previous quarter for the UV disinfection solution for ultra-pure water, and expect it to come into a total of 250 to 300,000 euro by the end of the fiscal year, which comes from several projects where our system and the solution is currently installed actually worldwide at semiconductor fabs. Secondly, we are driving what we call the Curing Plus for enhanced process control. We introduced into the market the new high-precision UV measurement device, UV Scan Max, which we first introduced actually in Europe in March this year, and expanded that into North America and China starting in May. We expect sales from this UV measurement device to come in at 50 to 100,000 euros in the current fiscal year. And thirdly, for the business unit curing, we started cooperation with a leading supplier for paints and varnishes to come in with joint solutions using our UV and IR technologies for their material. I'll now hand over to my colleague, CFO Robert Stark, for a deeper dive into the numbers.
Thank you, Markus, and good afternoon, everyone, also from my side. Let me now take you through the key financials and operational highlights of our third quarter. Turning first of all to our P&L, as already mentioned, group sales in Q3 were 22.6 million, below the Q2 momentum, bringing the 9-month sales to nearly 70 million in the books. The product mix shift towards systems, exchange rate headwinds, and higher marketing expenses compressed our quarterly EBITDA to 0.5 million. However, the cumulative EBITDA for the first 9 months is 3.6 million. Importantly, the structural cost measures we initiated last year are now visible. So without them, the margin contraction would have been materially worse. That means that our SG&A expenses, as Markus already mentioned, cost of goods sold, are in the ambitious range we targeted in the beginning. To our business units and segments. First of all, adhesive systems posted 24.9 million in the 9 months in sales and 2.5 million EBITDA, down 11% in sales and 52% respectively, as site relocation expenses met also a softer demand in automotive and consumer electronics. The curing remained robust within the sales with 25.7 million, and our cost reductions lifted the EBITDA by 48% year-on-year to minus 1.2 million, moving the unit back on a break-even track within the next year. For the disinfection continued its growth, with sales up 6% to 19.1 million and the EBITDA up of 80% to 2.3 million, driven by ballast water, food industry, and ultra pure water applications. To our balance sheet and capital structure, our net financial debt decreased further. That was also helped by 1.3 million from a sale in the US of a non-core property. Operating cash flow was positive at 3.7 million in the 3 quarters we posted in the books, and the equity ratio stands healthy at 52%. We are ongoing working strong on our cost controlling and working capital management. We see the first results, especially in the cost and also in the working capital reduction, to secure our operating cash base, where we see that we still all the circumstances and challenges have a solid ground on that. Having said this, I would like to hand over back to Markus for our outlook and conclusion.
Right. Please find the outlook for the remainder of the fiscal year 2024-25 here. As reported in our message from Tuesday, August 5, we expect revenue to come in between 92 and 94 million euros, slightly below the lower threshold of the original guidance that we had given. The original guidance read span between 95 and 105 million euros. We expect the operating results, EBITDA, to come in between 5 and 6 million euros, on a comparable level to the previous fiscal year, where EBITDA came in at 5.5 million euros. Bear in mind, we had originally guided that our EBITDA would come in higher than the last fiscal year. This is still within a feasible range, but you see that we now narrow it down to a range between 5 and 6 million euros EBITDA. Thank you. This is the last slide of our presentation. We actually hope that we could give you some background on the business development in a truly challenging quarter that we experienced. And we are here actually and welcome your questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, on these insights. We will move on with the Q&A session. And a short reminder, please enter your question into the chat box and please make sure that you preface your question by your name and your company name. And we have received the first questions already. I would like to start with Christian Sandherr from New Ways. He's posting two questions. I will start with the first one. You mentioned postponements in the adhesive business. Did you also recall cancellations?
We did not receive cancellations for adhesive business. What we were experiencing is a lower call off in the material. Bear in mind that adhesives per se are a consumable which are ordered by the customer as they need it in the production. What we see, secondly, is a shift in realization of projects that we have entered and are still entering together with customers, especially in the automotive industry. We experience a delay and a shift on the timeline. Some customers in the automotive industry have also canceled their projects because they are no longer pursuing new developments. May come back in the future, but that's the current environment that we see.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question. How are you planning to manage the value chain shift in Asia?
We plan to manage the value chain shift. We're, as we speak, establishing tighter links to distributors and partners in countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, and India, where we see that the value chain is actually shifting. We already had some ties into Vietnam, but we are now reinforcing that at a greater pace to actually have a good response to these ongoing shifts, which we expect that the momentum will probably keep over the next period, over the nearer to mid-future.
Okay, thank you. Then there's the next question typed in German. I will try to translate it shortly for the English speaking participants. So net debt increased to almost 43 million euro and expecting an EBITDA of 6 million euro. This seems quite high. Are you counter-measuring these developments, for instance, with a capital increase, or do you expect to divest some assets to reduce net debt?
Okay, so the net debt level, yes, for sure, it is a high level. We need to mention that these debts mainly resulted from investments and loans for our corporate buildings, which are long-term and favorable, secured. Nevertheless, we are surely evaluating and already did one transaction this year for divesting or selling non-core business assets. But our first goal is to increase the EBITDA to bring it to a healthy ratio.
Thank you for this explanation. There's a follow-up question from Christian Sandherr from New Ways. What needs to happen for you being able to reach the upper end of the EBITDA guidance?
Yeah, the most important influencing factor is actually to reach the upper end of our sales guidance. The higher our sales, the better the contribution for the EBITDA. In particular, stemming from the adhesive business, which is typically the most margin prone. And of course, the absence of any unplanned, unfavorable events that are beyond our control, which we expect actually to happen. But if we reach the upper end of our sales guidance, there is this is a mandatory prerequisite to come closer to the upper end of the EBITDA guidance. This is the most important influencing factor.
Okay, thank you. There's just another question. A follow-up question. Which divestments have been carried in the past month?
Yeah, I think two topics. The one topic is the divestment of our sunlight simulation business, which we handed over to an external provider or company. The second one, we consolidated our operations in the US, where we had a corporate building which was not used or which is not used anymore in the future, and therefore we sold this asset and this building. Divestment was the sunlight simulation business.
Perfect, thank you. For the time being, there are no further questions, but we will provide you with some seconds to maybe type a follow-up question. But as far as I can see, there is nobody typing anymore, which brings us to the end of the presentation already. For that, I would like oh no, that's a question coming in. You mentioned potential additional divestments of non-core assets. Can you provide an idea of the extent?
So we cannot recall that in any publication we mentioned that. As we said, we had taken measures to disinvest from non-core businesses. Lastly, the sun simulation businesses. As per now, all businesses that we have are considered to be part of the core and the growth strategy for the Dr. Hönle AG. So there is nothing imminent and no near or midterm plans to divest any business in the near future.
Okay, thank you. And again, if there are further questions, please use the chat box and we will get back to them. And for the moment, there are no further questions. But let's wait just a second. Yep. It seems to be clear that all questions have been answered. And with that, thank you all for your insightful question, and a big thank you to you, Dr. Arendt and Mr. Stark, and to all participants. We appreciate your time and your interest in Dr. Hönle, and we kindly ask you to share your feedback with the company. And for this reason, we have sent a short email to you. Have a great day and goodbye from my side. And now I hand it over to Dr. Hönle for some final statements.
Thank you for the audience, for listening to our explanations and the questions that you raised. Please keep close cooperation with us, in particular through Peter Weinert, our Investor Relations Manager. Should any questions come up in the course, we appreciate your interest in Dr. Hönle AG and expect that next quarters will be in a better situation and less challenging for us to report better numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.